Welcome to the Orange County Sportsplex as your UNC Tar Heels get set for their final home game of the regular season against the Duke Blue Devils. Chris Lehman alongside John Johnson as we get set for our final broadcast of UNC hockey this season. And John, it'll be an interesting one today. There's a big basketball game. I don't know if people have heard about it. UNC and Duke playing on the hard court, so it's going to be a little bit of a short bench today.
It will be. So because of injuries, because of illness, and because of a big basketball game in town, we're going to see a very short bench for UNC today. 10 skaters. We'll probably see 3 defensemen, 7 forwards. Coach will see how the 3 defensemen works out. He might move somebody back to give us 2 even pairs, but I think he's going to go with 7 and 3 to start.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting start to this game. Blue Devils and Tar Heels getting set to take the ice. We'll be back at the Orange County Sportsplex right after this.
North Carolina head coach Jim Sapikowski had a vision. It was a regional celebration of college hockey. Coach Sapikowski worked to create the Carolina Invitational Hockey Tournament, bringing together teams from around the region that, according to the coach, represented the ACHA Divisions 2 and 3 at its finest. Coach thought it would help put a spotlight on collegiate hockey in a part of the country where the sport was growing but had limited exposure. Coach Sapikowski never got to see the realization of his vision, and the tournament's name was changed to the James Sapikowski Memorial when Coach and his wife Allison passed away in 2005. The team continues to remember Big Jim and hopes to carry on his legacy. Welcome back to the Orange County Sportsplex. We'll start out the broadcast a little bit of a somber mood there as we remember former head coach Jim Sapikowski of the Tar Heels, who started that Carolina Hockey Invitational Tournament back in the early 2000s, and a letter from his daughter to head coach Jeff Volkman earlier this season. So he talked about how much he loved this team, how much it became an extension of his family after his younger kids, or his older kids, I should say, left the household and went on to grow up. So it was certainly a very meaningful organization for him, and we want to remember him fondly here at the end of this season. Chris Lehman and John Johnson with you here at the Orange County Sportsplex. You got to look at the Duke bench right now as your Tar Heels get set to take on their crosstown rival for the most part. Not the same town, but it's close enough, less than 10 miles. And these two teams will face off for the 3rd time this season. The last time we covered them, it was a commanding 11-1 lead for them, John. And the bench was a little bit short then, not quite as short as it is tonight, though.
You're right. I think what we saw the last game was UNC was clearly the higher skilled team in the matchups this season. UNC definitely has skill in their favor. A faster, higher skilled team from a scoring point of view, passing point of view. Duke will, however, have numbers tonight. So that's going to be a big test for a short-benched UNC team to see how they respond as the game goes on to fatigue and the potential for Duke, if they manage their bench right, to try to wear out our UNC team.
There's some other things we want to talk about as well. We'll get a look at the ACCHL standings here in just a moment, but those are important to look at. While the Tar Heels are done with their ACCHL schedule, you got to look there at the standings. There are a couple teams to keep an eye on, and we'll look at the playoff projections here shortly as well. But the teams to keep an eye on: West Virginia, your North Carolina Tar Heels, and the Charlotte 49ers. As the two teams line up at center ice to start this off. Those are the last teams vying for the last couple of spots as you get to look at it there. But the Tar Heels are just right on the edge. And they actually, we didn't quite get the graphic updated there before the broadcast. Tar Heels sitting in the last spot right now. There's some very interesting scenarios that could put them in or out of the playoffs. The big thing is that Charlotte game tonight as Charlotte takes on NC State. If the 49ers lose by 5 or more, the Tar Heels have the extra tiebreaker to overtake the Niners. They would jump and at the very least be the 8 seed and the final seed into the tournament as we get things rolling. Now, if West Virginia wins, then West Virginia will be in, and then whether the Tar Heels are in or out depends on that Charlotte game. So that's the one to keep an eye on tonight.
So in a rarity for UNC fans, we'll be rooting hard for NC State to win by a lot.
Lifted out of the zone. Reese collects on the far boards. He'll shovel it deep, squibbles into the middle of the zone. It'll be collected and turned right back out by Sam Bentland. They'll fight for it in neutral ice. It's forced up the near boards. Bentland still in control. Swings it to the middle, can't be corralled by the Blue Devil Shaw, and now
Good
the
to
Tar
see
Heels
Jake Whelan back. He's back from injury. This will be his first game back on the ice in quite some time.
get a good look at a heavy hit from Chris Adamson there as he gets it deep. Now, while the Tar Heels are a bit short-handed on their bench tonight, they've got the right guys here. They've got a really good, productive group of hockey players out on the ice for this contest. And so while they might get tired out a bit, they definitely have guys that can handle it. Pass through the middle, intercepted by Ryan Jex, and he'll carry it deep. Pinned in the near corner. They'll scrum for it, and it's worked back up the wall. Still Blue Devils in control. Swatted wide on the near side, and then lifted up and out by the Tar Heel defense.
We talked to Coach Volkman before the game, and I think he was particularly pleased that he had Richard, Caron, and Whelan in the lineup. You know, there's a 3 quality defensemen, along with Douthit, should really anchor the back end of that team and set us up well for victory today.
And this is a good weekend here for Jake Whelan to get back into things. You mentioned earlier he was injured for the last couple of weeks. Has been day-to-day. Coach Volkman had elected to keep him out of the lineup a couple times to let him get healthy. And he's got a chance to get back into stride before the tournament weekend coming up in a week. Streaking in down the near wing is Regan. Stops in the corner, turns it around. Looking for an open man, it's not there. Pestered by Zhang, and it'll be knocked loose. Pinned along the board again by Regan. He'll shovel it around behind the net. Losing a stick was Simon Brennan, and that allows the Tar Heels to maintain control. High slot, it's poked loose. Reese couldn't get a shot away, and the Blue Devils get out of danger.
We were talking about Whelan, and I think it's especially nice if you're a defenseman to come back against a team that maybe is not the highest speed team, not as fast as, let's say, an NC State or a Virginia Tech. Really helps you ease back into the game after a few weeks off the ice to pick up game speed.
Thrown deep by the Devils. It'll be shoveled behind the net. Now Preby along the far board, sends it through the middle. Nobody making that run. And it'll be dumped right back in. And this has been kind of the toughest part for the Tar Heels all season as they get it deep. But they've had trouble being smooth and crisp through the neutral zone.
They have. You know, sometimes against faster teams, they've struggled with to match against the speed of some of the higher skilled teams they've faced, and that's led to lack of fundamentals through the neutral zone, not getting your head up on passes, not being a good pass recipient. I think this will be a good chance for them to work on fundamentals to get today against a Duke team who's not quite as fast as some of the recent opponents they've played.
Duke will get it up and out. As they move along down the far wing, it'll be swept deep behind Will Douthit, and the Tar Heel defense will give chase.
The one thing that speed of another team does to you mentally is you think you have less time than you actually do, and it'll sometimes cause you to rush your passes, do things that you wouldn't do in a game where you feel a little more comfortable from a pacing perspective.
Well, Duke has had the upper hand here early. A lot of zone time for the Blue Devils. It'll be poked out along the far wall. With it, Gelatley sidesteps a defender, but can't take the puck with him. And now it's Ian Reeves in the neutral zone.
It's a good poke check up to Gelatley. He tried to go inside out to come into the center part of the ice and just had the puck poked away from him.
Throws one on net. Good glove save by Cole Luther. Luther, while he gave up 11 goals to the Tar Heels back in October, played a pretty darn good game, about as good as you could ask him to play.
Yeah, in the game we watched, Luther probably faced close to 50 shots, if not more. He was very fundamentally sound. Really did not play a bad game from our perspective.
Did a nice job seeing the puck through traffic on that last shot. Blue Devils win the faceoff in the near circle. Ryan Jex forces it up the far boards. Finds the loose puck again. Jex through the neutral zone. He has some space, and he clears it deep. Nice play by Richard to knock it down at the defense, and it's sent back into neutral ice again.
Good quick hands by Richard to just chop that puck down and then turn it back the other way.
Sam Freder dispossessed, knocks the Tar Heel to the ice. That was Preby. Play will continue as the Blue Devils take control. Straight through the middle, Ryan Feinberg. Around the defense, he's in on Douthit, sweeps it towards the net. And I'm not sure if Douthit got a piece of that or if that was the defenseman. Whelan was there along with Jesse Jacobs.
Feinberg did a nice job with his speed and body positioning to get himself at least in a position to take a scoring opportunity there.
And a shot deflected wide, hit the skate of Preby in front. And they'll fight for it along the side of the goal. Back behind the net now, Whelan. To the far corner, try to force it up the wall. Couldn't get it through. And now he'll skate it out. Whelan with some pace. Weaves through the defense. Gets it into neutral ice. But not much further. Turned right back, Feinberg again, using that speed to get into the near corner. Sweeps back behind the net, looking for a pass out in front. Finds a teammate at the point, the wrist shot right into the breadbasket of Douthit. He'll swallow it up off the stick of Ryan Jex. But that was great vision from Feinberg to thread the needle with that pass.
It was, and what we saw there was Richard actually had brought the puck up ice. He got dispossessed, and that's sort of a poor sequence for UNC where you have forwards filling in on the defensive side. And as a result, there was a lot of congestion down low, and it really left for a wide open point to take that shot.
So the face-off controlled by UNC. Along the half wall, it's furthered along by Beeson. With speed come the Tar Heels. Regan in down the far wing, and it's off the shoulder of Luther. And it looks like he might be a little shaken up on the play. And that's a soft spot in the padding. The goaltender's padding, of course, heavily padded in the front. But when you get up to the neck area, right around the chest protector there, sometimes that collarbone can be exposed, and it looked like it shook him up.
You'll see some goalies who wear custom-made protectors up around the collarbone and neck area. He doesn't appear to have one on. He also doesn't wear a dangler, so occasionally you can take one up high, and that kind of will stun you, take the wind out of you, and that looks like what might have happened here.
So a little bit of extra time for Luther to regather. Now, goaltending not going to, in terms of manpower, goaltending not an issue for the Blue Devils. They've got 3 on the roster today, so a pair on the bench ready to take over in case Luther can't continue. But he will. Blue Devils win the faceoff and clear it out.
And on that rush, we saw UNC come in. They had a 2-on-1 effectively. 44, the defenseman for Duke, really took away the passing lane, and so on a smart decision, we saw a shot taken that went up high and deflected up into the net.
Tar Heels setting up their offensive attack. Back to the point. Looking for a shot, Graham Karen. Steps into the far circle. Slides one in on goal, sticked away by Luther. And the Blue Devils get control of the rebound. They'll race out with it. It's Luke Turkovich into the zone. Down the near wall, he'll force it deep. And that's one thing that Duke has done a very good job of here early, John, is getting the puck deep and then getting in and establishing a forecheck.
You notice they're playing a little bit of a dump and chase, and I think, if you're not necessarily the fastest team out there, that's a good way, especially to tire out the defensemen for UNC. It forces defensemen to turn, not be able to see the pressure coming at them, and do a little more skating. So it's a good strategy on the part of Duke to engage in a little dump and chase here and try to wear out those defensemen.
We're about 6.5 minutes, a little more than that through the first period, still looking for our first goal. Both teams have had a couple of good chances. Both netminders have been up to the task. Felix Young through the middle of the ice. Slides to the near wall, slips it in front, it's deflected behind the net, and back into the near corner. Gelatley the first to it for the Tar Heels. Looks to the middle, throws it rink wide, taken off the board, slapped along by Prevey, but couldn't push it past a defender and Simon Brennan. And the Blue Devils will get a change as Brennan sends it deep. Stretch pass finds Gelatley at the red line. Straight down the middle. Stopping at the top of the near circle. Wrist shot, another glove save by Luther. And he'll hold on for a face-off.
That was a great breakout pass to Gelatley coming through the middle of the ice. You saw him slow up a little bit, create a little time and space for himself, and get off a nice wrister there that Luther perfectly squared up on and shut down.
He's been good with the glove hand. The Heels have gone there a couple times already. He's been up to the task. One by UNC off the draw. Gelatley on the near wall. Throws it on goal. Juicy rebound on the far side. Nobody there to poke it home for UNC. Prevey battling. Has it taken away by Brennan. And is passing the skates of a teammate. Knocked to the ice and a hard hit. We're going to get a penalty coming on UNC. That was a little bit of a dangerous hit as Burke McCaffrey couldn't find the puck in his skates.
Yeah, Prevey was just a half second behind. I think McCaffrey had just had the puck, he had released it, and then Prevey pretty much laid him out on a nice hit. Just unfortunately, the puck carrier did not have the puck anymore.
So that will be a penalty. Looks like they're signaling 2 minutes for charging on Prevey. And so he heads to the box, a 2-minute sentence for him. And the Tar Heels will have to kill off a penalty. And it's one thing in games where UNC has had trouble, and in a game like this where you're short on the bench and you want to conserve energy as much as possible, these penalties can be certainly problematic.
Well, yeah, we saw it in the Virginia Tech game. If there's been an Achilles heel for this team, it's their ability to take penalties in bunches. And in the Virginia Tech game, that put a short-staffed defensive unit out on penalty kill for a pretty extensive amount of time, and that requires a lot of skating and mental effort out of these defensemen.
I'll have to do it here. The rebound's poked home Duke will take a 1-0 lead just 11 seconds into the power play. And now we're all the way at the other end of the ice, but it looks like Sam Freder was the one to knock it home. And the Blue Devils take a 1-0 lead on the power play goal. But that is exactly what you didn't want.
A soft shot from the point, which just got through traffic, and the Douthit lost track of. He was down in his butterfly. He didn't have 5-hole perfectly covered there, and I think it just snuck through.
11:54 to go in the first period. Power play comes to a close with that goal. So Preby will head back to the UNC bench. And play restarts. Just under 12 minutes to go in the first. And we've got our first goal. Tar Heels looking to respond. It's Regan breaking into the zone. Throws it on net. Steered to the near corner by Luther. Gilatli gets the rebound on the corner. Back to Richard at the point. And a jumping Luther gets a blocker to the high wrister and deflects it into the net behind the goal.
Nice little sequence there. Regan got a shot off, bounced off to the side. Gilatli was able to possess it, looked to the point, passed it up to Richard, who got a nice shot on net that Luther deflected up and out.
Regan to take the face-off for UNC. Wins it back to the point. Richard again on the ice. Wrist one on goal, deflected in front. A sprawling save on the far side of the net from Cole Luther. And he comes up big once again. Blue Devils will break it out and look to counter.
Another good face-off win that resulted in another shot from Richard, and then an amazing athletic follow-up saved by Luther.
With speed through neutral ice, it's Gilatli. Steers to the middle, right into the gut. His wrist shot from the near face-off dot. Right into Luther.
And I think you can see the difference in speed there. Gilatli's probably the fastest guy on the ice. He was able to come into the zone very quickly, smoothly, takes the wide side, and then circles back in to create that space. Luther, once again, excellent from a technical point of view, squares up on that shot, swallows it, doesn't give up a rebound.
And if you're Gilatli there with a short bench, you want to be very judicial about where you use that energy for those kind of plays, and he comes up empty there, unfortunately. Tar Heels control off the draw. Errant pass is out of the zone.
That's an excellent point, Chris. You know, when you have this few forwards, you're really going to want to play smart as far as deciding when you're going to rush. Given the amount of energy that was required on a typical rush, you're going to be less inclined to do that when you're out there every other shift, so you really want to make it count.
Preby will send the puck in behind the goal. Awkward carom off the boards, and Luther with the active stick pokes it to the far corner. Reeves in on the forecheck along with Preby. They'll lay a couple hits on Felix Young, who steers it up the boards. Nobody home. Tar Heels still in control. Wrist shot from the top of the near circle right into the Duke lettering on the jersey of Cole Luther. Well, they're getting some good chances and some decent spots, John, but everything's kind of right into Cole Luther right now.
Yeah, I mean, Luther's seeing the puck well. A lot of the shots he's squared up on. You know, some of the, we often say, oh, you put the shot in the goalie's chest. Well, sometimes the goalie's putting his chest in the shot, and so Luther, from a technical point of view, has been very, very sound.
Blue Devils win the face-off and clear it out into the neutral zone. At center ice, it's Richard. Over to Gilatli on the far wall. Sends it to the middle under the skate of Reese, who tracks it down on the near wall. Back to the middle off the stick of Adamson, who steered it just wide. A slapper from the far point deflected wide as well. Gilatli behind the goal will set up shot. Bank to the near point. Wrister from Whelan. Blocker down, tipped out of the air by Gilatli, and he couldn't get it to go. Oh, that was a great chance. Whelan fans on the one-timer on the near side.
It really was. Gilatli's really doing a nice job of getting everybody involved in the offense here.
Now Richard with a whistler, sticked up into the netting by Cole Luther. That was the best extended sequence for the Tar Heels and a couple of golden opportunities.
Yeah, you're seeing some very good puck possession by the Tar Heels. On that sequence, Gilatli, especially because of his skills, able to work behind the net, allow the two forwards to come down, create good traffic in front, and then allow both of the defensemen to be opportunistic shooters and recipients of passes from him.
9:45 to go in the first period. A 1-0 lead for Duke. Tar Heels win the faceoff again, but another bad pass at the blue line will force them to retreat. Richard up the near wall. Finds Beeson to the middle, and the slapper from Jesse Jacobs is off a defenseman and wide. Blue Devils take back possession. Backhanded up the boards for Felix Young. He'll stop at his own blue line and look for space. And finally directs it to the far wall where it can be knocked in by Nathan Shaw.
Now, we've seen Felix a couple games now. Felix is probably the highest skilled player on the Duke team. So, you know, if they have sort of a go-to scorer, it's him.
Regan, a spinning pass to the middle, had nobody with him, 1-on-4 against the Blue Devil defense. and didn't get a great chance there. Zhang, just mentioned, gets it deep. Picked up by Richard behind, or in his own zone. Swings across the ice, back to the near side, Gelatli. Stops on the half wall on the near side. His pass tipped and stolen away. Felix Zhang at center ice will lift it deep. And the Tar Heels will head back behind their own goal as the Blue Devils change.
You know, from our perspective, I think other than the score, you know, we like what we're seeing from UNC. About 12 shots so far, getting good, consistent time in the zone, and some good quality scoring opportunities.
And another one there, tipped just wide on the centering pass. But everything's close but not quite right now for the Tar Heels. Just need to keep it up, and eventually something will find its way through. A solid goaltender in Cole Luther, and another penalty coming. It's going to be a holding call. Another one on UNC, and this is not what you want to see if you're head coach Jeff Volkman. Your team, after giving up that power play goal, was able to turn things around and turn the momentum in their favor, and now Graham Karen heads to the box.
Yeah, so not only do you have another penalty, but it's against one of your defensemen. So, you know, coach running 3, he's down to 2. He's probably going to have to substitute one of his centers in to play the back part of a pairing to the extent he has some fatigue here as the penalty kill goes on. Especially challenging penalty when you're short bench like this with so many forwards and so little defensemen.
Just under 8 minutes to go in the first. Tar Heels sweep it out. Ben Reese will come down to pressure Luther. Swatted up the far wall. It'll be collected around the red line.
And if you're Duke, this is about as good a start as you could have hoped for. You know, you've been outshot, but you're able to capitalize on your first power play. And against a team that's probably a little faster, a little higher skill, you know, you're ahead, and you've got the power play on your side here.
Ryan Feinberg squashed into the boards as he sends a back pass to the point, gets it back in the far corner. All right, the Tar Heels shovel it up the boards. They'll battle and finally swat it out. Big clearance about halfway through the penalty.
Good clearance. We see the shift change. New pair of defenders come on. Good hustle by Regan to create some extra pressure down low.
Slowly, the Devils get it out. That'll be gloved down by Jex in neutral ice. He'll retreat and find a teammate in Simon Brennan. Back for Matt Finch. To the point, it'll be shoveled deep by Ryan Jex. Behind the goal, collected by the Tar Heel penalty kill. It's Gelatli. He's got space to pick up speed around a couple defenders. Down the far wing, and he has nobody in front. The pass denied anyhow, but it's still Gelatli in control. And a smart play.
Smart play by Gelatli. Gets it in deep. Looked to make a pass to the center. There wasn't really anybody there, and now he's just killing more time by passing it on down the ice to his team.
Just 15 seconds left on the man advantage for Duke. It took him 11 seconds to score on the first one, but a much better penalty kill, and now a whistle. And it looks like, I believe we're going to get the only thing I could think here with the way the whistle blew is that we have a too many men on the ice penalty.
That's all I can think of, Chris, is, you know, for it to blow like that after Duke takes possession of the puck with no obvious hits or anything, is that there's some sort of bench minor.
So this will be a 5-on-3 for 7 seconds. And I didn't see a signal from the official as to what exactly the call was, but the only thing I could imagine there is too many men on the ice as the Tar Heels got caught on a change.
It's unfortunate. I'm also not sure why they whistled it while the puck was in Duke's possession, so your guess is as good as mine at this point.
6:15 to go in the first period. Carolina wins the faceoff. Clearance attempt fails. They've got a man back down to a 5-on-4 for Duke. Wrist shot through a crowded slot, misses the net. But Duke still in control. One-timer just wide on the near side.
And we talked about this at the outset. If there's a weak spot on this team, it's their ability to take penalties in bunches, and now we've seen 3 in close proximity to each other. We saw the exact same thing in the Virginia Tech game. So it's really something I think Coach is going to want to try to eliminate as he goes into the ACCHL tournament.
1:20 left on the man advantage for the Blue Devils. About 5.5 minutes left in period number 1. Sent deep by Luke Turkovich. He was the one actually from the point who scored that first and only goal of the game so far. They'll battle in the near corner. Felix Zhang coming away with possession for Duke. Back to the point. One-time pass from Sam Bentlin back into the corner. Bentlin again on the near point. Throws it towards the net. It looked like it deflected up into the netting behind, I believe. And we will have a face-off.
Yeah, I could not tell if Douthit got a piece of that puck or not.
It will stay in the Tar Heel end to the left side of Will Douthit. One back into the corner, slapped around the
That was
boards.
a good face-off win, but you'd like to see him corral that puck and throw it through the middle of the ice up high like a Murphy dump as opposed to just corralling it around the boards. Doesn't have a winger there that's going to be able to get it out.
Up at the point, the wrist shot off a stick and wide from Simon Brennan. Now back into the far corner. Again, Brennan, center point. Throws it on goal, and it'll be swallowed up by Will Douthit, which is very good to see because there was a Blue Devil looming right
There's
next
a Blue
door.
Devil right on the doorstep, and Brennan got a really nice shot in there that if Douthit gives up any sort of rebound, there's a very good chance that's put back into the back of the net.
Still 28 seconds left on the man advantage. This has been a long power play for Duke. It's been close to 4 minutes because of the timing of the penalties. On the far wall, Blue Devils in control. Bentland slid to the far side. In the corner, it'll be collected by Matt Finch. Backhanded to the far point. And again, back to Finch. He'll quarterback here on the power play. Stepping in and wrists one right into the chest protector of Douthit. And he'll hold on for another face-off. Just about done with the power play. 2 seconds left before Matt Gellatley comes out.
Nice little walk-in by Bentland, getting a good wrister. Douthit squared up on it nicely, kept any rebound from taking place there. But if you're Duke, you have to be happy here. You know, you're controlling tempo through the power play itself. And, you know, when you're on a power play, you ideally are doing less skating than the defenders. The defenders are working in a box. They're trying to come out and challenge you. They have to skate in that tight box as you have the luxury of just passing the puck around for the most part with smaller movements in that space. So another good way for Duke to tire out these Tar Heels as the game goes on.
That last clearance off the face-off inside of the Tar Heel end was off the defenseman and into the bench of the Tar Heels. That's why the face-off came out. Big slap shot from Gellatley, knocked away by Luther on the near wing. Looking to stuff it home, Gellatley can't find a way to get it in. And the Tar Heels will set up the attack. Near corner, Adamson looking to the center. He finds Jacobs, backhanded into the corner for Gellatley, dispossessed by Zhang. And he'll work it around to the far corner.
Yeah, Gellatley took advantage of a mistake by the Duke defenseman. The puck had got past him, was able to come in and get a good shot. Got his rebound from behind the net. Looked like he tried a little wraparound attempt, which Luther stuffed, and resulted in a nice scoring opportunity for UNC.
A collision along the near wall. A couple players slow to get up. And play will continue as the Tar Heels look to break it out. Graham Karen up to the Blue Devil blue line for Gellatley. He has it poked away and a chance to move back in transition for Duke. Quickly denied at the defense. A nice job stepping up
Nice
for the
job
Tar
of
Heels.
stepping up at the blue line. Active stick, took that puck right off the Blue Devil player stick.
Clearing pass intercepted at the red line. That was Ian Reeves. Handed off for Preby on the near wall. He'll cycle behind the net with the puck.
Good drop pass by Reeves there to realize, who was available as a recipient of the pass. And now we're seeing a good cycle where the defensemen are able to set up.
And Karen throws one towards the net. Gets trapped in traffic. He finds it back on the far point, sends it into the corner, and it'll be slapped right back up and out by Luke Turkovich. Tar Heels clear it in one more time. Reese on the forecheck. Slapped up the near wall and banked out by Sam Bentland. And these two teams playing a little game of ping pong right now. Reese straight into the zone. Cuts to the near wall. Back behind the net, he's got Preby. Looks out in front. A nice job by Turkovich to get the leg down and deny that pass.
Good patience behind the net there by Preby, looking for Regan, I should say, sneaking in through the high slot there.
Preby just got leveled. A nice clean hit from Nathan Shaw. Puck stays in though. And
Shaw
the Tar
delivered
Heels,
a really nice hit there. Really took the puck carrier off of his feet.
Preby again, pestered by Bentland. Loses control and the Blue Devils can break it out. With speed straight through the middle of the ice. Around Whelan. Shot on goal goes just wide as Douthit was able to keep a good angle. And UNC.
Excellent move to come across, really get Whelan turned around there and result in a decent scoring chance for Duke.
Under a minute and a half to go in the first. Still a 1-0 lead for the Blue Devils. Richard centering pass off a skate, and again, Duke will clear it out. And now we're going to get a stoppage as that puck was cleared back in. It hit the glass and then the back of the head of a linesman. And he'll check to make sure everything feels all right, and I think play will continue, but there are some hazards to the job if you're a hockey official.
There sure are. He's still rubbing his head there. They have a full complement today of 4 officials on the ice.
And so they would be able to, I believe, if they were to lose a linesman, although he gives the thumbs up, so I think we're going to be all right to continue. But one of the referees would then serve as one of the linesmen.
That's correct.
So 1:10 left in the first period. Neutral zone face-off just outside of the Duke zone. It'll be Felix Zhang against Chris Adamson of the Tar Heels.
So as we get towards the end of the period, UNC's outshot Duke 15-7, so pretty much doubled up on shots with them. I think the one thing we would like to see is maybe just a little more patience as they come into the zone. They're shooting pretty quickly once they're in the zone, and I think in part just to slow the pace down, give your defensemen time to catch up and really contribute. Maybe go wide, come behind the net, allow your defensemen to set up and get them involved in the offensive attack.
And now it looks like they were having an issue with the clock. I was wondering why the officials were still over at the scorer's table. But now they're still ticking down time off the clock. Down to 1 minute. So they wanted to run a little extra time off that didn't go as play was going on. Clearance pass, stolen at the blue line. Wrist shot handled by Luther. Can't control the rebound, but he gets a piece of it as Adamson thought he had an open net to shoot at. Centered in front. Luther denies the pass, and he'll jump on the rebound. But there are a couple of more good chances for the Tar Heels as they stepped in.
Rare times we've seen Luther not play a puck cleanly. He was able to get his glove on, it bounced off of him, and then kicked back out. But he really made a nice sprawling effort to basically take the second chance opportunity away.
43 seconds left as we resume. Face-off won by Zhang, swept around behind the net by Ryan Jex for a teammate in Ryan Feinberg. They're able to clear the zone, not very far. Graham Karen trying to stick handle out of pressure, loses the puck, but there to sweep it deep is Jesse Jacobs. 25 seconds to go in the period. Ian Reeves along the far wall takes control for UNC. Quickly dispossessed, Feinberg in possession for the Duke Blue Devils. He'll weave through the neutral zone. And his slap shot from the point is blocked at the defense, back behind the net. UNC collects up the far wall. They'll battle for it there, and that should run out the rest of this first quarter clock. There goes the horn. The difference right now, a power play goal for the Blue Devils that came in the first half of the period. UNC has carried a lot of the play, but they trail 1-0. We'll be back at the break here at Orange County Sportsplex.
20 minutes down here at the Orange County Sportsplex. Chris Lehman back with you, now joined by John Beeson of the Tar Heels. John, it's been a good period for you guys. Not what you wanted on the scoreboard. That penalty kill has been out there a lot. So what have you seen from the penalty kill, and what do you guys adjustments you want to make with that going into the second?
Yeah, with the first goal, I mean, it was just a tough face-off loss. Went right up. There's some communication. We have the 2 top forwards. We need to go and pressure the guy on the boards, and there it was just a little fumble on who's going to do that, which resulted in a goal. But other than that, second penalty kill went pretty smoothly, and I think that gave us some good momentum considering that we don't have a lot of players. But I mean, for the most part, that first goal kind of a fluke, but I think we've got it under control.
And you mentioned not having a lot of bodies on the bench, so that extended penalty kill makes it a little bit tough. But how are the legs for the guys so far?
The legs are fine. It's just the next man up mentality kind of, and I think we're all having honestly a pretty good time with it. We're getting to play with guys that we don't normally get to play with, so it's a different environment out there, which makes it honestly really enjoyable to play in.
You also talked a little bit about there how that penalty kill, the long one, gave you guys a little bit of momentum and kind of pushed you into the second half of the period where you controlled the play and kept it down in your offensive zone a lot. What did you see from your team there on the ice, and then what do you want to see more of in that second period?
Yeah, well, like I said, we kind of came out a little soft, kind of slow, and then after that, I think everybody started realizing that we were buzzing, and we got some shots on goal. The goalie allowed some juicy rebounds, so It's more of that, actually crashing the net, maybe get some dirty goals, and I think that's sort of the key to the game at this point. So yeah.
All right, that's John Beeson of the Tar Heels. John, thank you so much for taking a second to join us here at the intermission. We'll be back with John Johnson as we break down the first period and get set for the second here in just a second. 1-0 Blue Devils after 20 minutes. Chris Lehman and John Johnson back with you at the Orange County Sportsplex. A 1-0 lead for the Duke Blue Devils over your UNC Tar Heels after one period. John, we just heard from Beeson of the Tar Heels. Had plenty to say, certainly upbeat because this team looked good by the end of the period.
Yeah, you like the attitude, obviously. With the short bench, they've dominated the shot total, about 17-7. They've had some high-quality scoring opportunities. We talked about how excellent Luther is as a goalie. I think the one thing maybe they could work on for this period coming in is just a little more patience in the zone. And so instead of taking shots that allow Luther to square up and potentially swallow that rebound, when you have a goalie who's hot like that and seeing the puck well, come into the zone, go wide, maybe establish a little bit behind the net. We saw Gelatley do that once or twice and allow the defenseman come in, and suddenly you have 5 people contributing that offense, and you can get some good puck movement. If you get some low shots by the defenseman to potentially kick out, you've got some easy tap-in goals.
And he talked a little bit about the goal they gave up on the penalty kill, a quick face-off, a little miscommunication up top. But other than that, especially on that extended penalty kill, Tar Heels really looked pretty good.
They did, so they did a nice job on the penalty kill. It's a two-way street. I think Duke's happy to be where they are, to be up 1-0, and have had so much time on the power play. If you're UNC, you'd like to eliminate what we call the sequence of penalties. They have the tendency to take penalties in bunches, and so if we can get rid of that for the rest of the game. 2 of those penalties were really sort of just poor discipline penalties, a mistimed check and then a bench minor for too many men on the ice. So if we can eliminate that, this game should really start to go in UNC's favor.
And it certainly seems to be going that way now. They got the majority of the chances overall in the period, but also very close to the end. They were the better team. What do you expect to see out of them in the second 20 minutes?
So I expect to see more of the same. Ideally, we don't want to see any more penalties. We like the transition game that they've been playing through the neutral zone. They've been entering the zone well. As we said, the one thing they could do is be just a little more patient in the zone. And the only reason I say that is just to increase what I would call the scoring potential of some of your shots. We've seen Gelatley take a lot of what I call one-on-one shots, and some of the others. And Luther's seeing the puck so well now; he squares up really well on the puck. That you really want to create shots that are either low, that are going to bounce off his pads, or that where you force him to move laterally and potentially can pick your corners.
All right, well, the Zamboni finishing up here at the Orange County Sportsplex. The Blue Devils and your Tar Heels will be hitting the ice again here in just a few minutes. We'll be right back with the second period here at the Orange County Sportsplex.
Welcome back to the Orange County Sportsplex. A fresh 20 minutes up on the clock for the second period, and your Tar Heels trailing the Duke Blue Devils 1-0 after one. Chris Lehman and John Johnson with you as always, and the teams will switch ends here. Your Tar Heels in the Carolina blue here today, and this is kind of a precursor to the big matchup tonight over at the Dean Dome in Chapel Hill between the Tar Heels and the Blue Devils. But this one not going UNC's way right now.
No, and I think, if you want to look on the bright side, we've dictated tempo for a lot of the game. Shot totals in our favor. Really, the only difference is, we gave up too many penalties, and you can only put your special teams out so much before they're going to get scored on. It's impossible to play a perfect penalty kill at any level for extended periods of time. That man advantage will eventually catch up to you and make you pay.
We've got a quick whistle right out of the gate here. And we'll see. It was a whistle from the official in the near corner.
Net might be off the mooring down there.
And that looks like what they're adjusting now. So just a quick stoppage as the net came off.
We did have the referees come over at intermission. Referee Holden Rogers is celebrating his 16th birthday. So the youngest member of the team out there.
That's a tough task to have to deal with the college guys out there.
Absolutely.
As a 16-year-old. Duke out of the break, off the face-off. Drop pass into the slot. Wrist shot off the pad or the shin of Richard, who seems a tad slow after that, but he'll...
Yeah, I think that caught Richard in the side. You don't have a lot of padding on the side of your shin guard. There's no hard protection there. It's just a soft protection that wraps around the calf.
Yeah, that's exactly where he was looking on his left leg. But he'll stay out there. Swings one on goal. Does Richard the rebound? They score. Tar Heels took a while, but 43 seconds into the second, and we're tied up at 1.
And that's exactly what we were talking about. You know, that low shot from Richard hit the goalie, bounced out, kicked out to the left, and was able to be put right back in on a rebound goal. And we talked about that intermission, like a way to beat Luther, who's seeing the puck well, is to take shots that he can't field with his glove or square up on with his body and smother. And that's what we saw there, kicked out, and I think it might have been Adamson who got the goal.
And it's certainly who it looked like from here. Adamson evens up the score, and a great start here in the first minute of the second period for UNC. They'll try to keep the pressure on as it's dumped deep. Collected by Ryan Jex behind the net. He's possessed and they score. That took about 21 seconds for the Tar Heels to take the lead. This one looks like is Jesse Jacobs finishing it off, and the Tar Heels have jumped all over Duke here.
Well, couldn't ask for a better start for UNC. It looks like there was a turnover right behind the net. Pass up to Jesse Jacobs, who was right there in the high slot. He was able to pick the corner, the left corner, and send that one in. Really, Luther had no chance to make a save there.
So they go back to center ice. The draw, one back into their defensive zone by UNC. Wayland tracks it down behind the net. He'll work it out himself, sends a pass straight up the middle. Nobody there to receive it, and the Duke defense knocks it back deep. Richard rink wide for Beeson, swept up the boards for Regan.
So if you're UNC, you're going to, you can take a little sigh of relief, play just a little more relaxed here, because now in addition to dominating the stats, you're dominating the score.
They get another shot there. This time Luther able to control the rebound and hold for a face-off. But the energy level here, this one thing that, even though it's good and you like to see it, might be a bit of a concern this early in the game to see that much energy being expended at this point. But if it's working, you certainly can't argue too much about it.
Absolutely. I think from their perspective, you don't really notice fatigue at all when you're scoring. So as long as they can keep that up and consistently put pucks in net, they're not going to be bothered one bit. It's when you play a first period like they did and take 17 shots that you start to notice a little more, maybe starts getting your head just a little bit more.
Weaving through traffic, Richard on the near wing. Wrists one wide, collected in the far corner by Adamson. First goal scorer of the game for that's Gellatley, who has control. And Gellatley has been a huge impact player, even though he hasn't figured in on the score sheet yet. Still has possession. Centers for Reese. Left back for Karen. His wrist shot knocked down and swept out, but kept in at the point by Adamson. Knocked back behind the net. They'll chase it down in the near corner. And knocked out by Luke Turkovich. Nobody there. This one's going to go all the way down for an icing call.
And another nice sequence there, and this is getting back to what you and I talked about, really getting the offense set up and allowing your defensemen to contribute to the play. So we saw Karen take a nice shot there. And your defensemen aren't necessarily there to score. They're really just to put the puck in scoring position through the ability to get rebounds off of Luther that kick it back out into scoring places where your forwards can take advantage of.
Blue Devils control after the faceoff. Felix Jiang goes across the ice for Bentland. D-to-D with his partner, and it'll be knocked deep. It hit a body on the way through the neutral zone, so no icing call as Graham Karen tracks it down for UNC. Knocked back behind for Reeves, our first intermission guest, and now Jesse Jacobs will sweep it all the way down, and he stands right in front of us. He knew as soon as he let go of that it was an icing call.
Jesse's shaking his head because, he just rushed that. He didn't get his head up. He threw it up the boards, assuming that somebody would be there. And, when in fact, if he got his head up, he's playing wing, he probably didn't realize that the other winger's not there.
Reeves to take the face-off for the Tar Heels. Wins it to the near wall for Wayland, and he elevates it out of danger. Tracked down by Jesse Jacobs as he breaks into the zone. Throws it on net, and they score.
Right.
I'm not sure if it was deflected in front past Luther, if it just eked its way through, but that's the third goal in the first 3 minutes and 4 seconds of the period for the Tar Heels, and all of a sudden, they've just completely flipped the script.
They have, and what you saw there was we saw Jacob shaking his head because he knew he made a bad play. Coming straight off that face-off, he really out-hustles the Duke defenseman for the puck. It was like he was shot out of a rocket. Sometimes you get that. You want to make up for a bad play that you know that you've created. Was able to get that shot in. I didn't really see if anybody from his team touched it, so we're going to credit him with the goal. That would be his second goal of the evening.
So Jacobs with the big one there, and plays like that are the reason that head coach Jeff Volkman gave him an A as an alternate captain, despite the fact that he's pretty new to this team. But he shows some veteran leadership there. Duke in control in their own end.
He
Simon
is, and
Brennan.
if you were to look at the stat sheet, he dominates the team from a assist point of view, so you know he's good at moving puck and setting up his teammates, so it's nice to see him get on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, Jacobs second on the team in assists coming into tonight with 15. Either picked up a goal or his 16th assist on that last one netted by the Tar Heels. Just about 4 minutes gone in this second period. A quick 3 goals for UNC has given them a 2-goal lead. Along the near wall,
So
Feinberg.
really nice play by Beeson there to dispossess number 10 of the puck. That was Feinberg.
Unfortunately, he couldn't quite maintain control, and they battle for possession in neutral ice. Feinberg has it caught in his skates, steers it up the wall, and Gelatli takes over for UNC. Nowhere to go, so he just slides it in to the Duke end.
And it looks like Coach here has decided to stick with his 3 defensemen. You know, we talked with him early in the before the game, and he said, you know, depending on their fatigue level, he might bring somebody back. But right now, it looks like he's working just with the 3, and that's working out well.
Wayland up the near wing. He'll get the puck up in the air and send it deep. Chasing it down, it's knocked up the near boards, but it gets caught up in an official before Duke can get control and clear it out. Richard, pressured by Felix Zhang, nowhere to go but behind his own net, wrapped around the boards for Jesse Jacobs. Jacobs tried to further it along, nowhere to go, and it's steered back deep by Matt Finch. Felix Zhang behind the net now. He'll battle with a trio of Tar Heels. Matt Richard gets to the puck for UNC and then sweeps it around to the near side. Nobody there for UNC, and so it's Turkovic throwing it towards goal. Gets stuck in traffic. Matt Finch coming away. Another wrister blockered down behind the net by Douthit, and the rebound chance around the other side denied nicely by Gelatli on the defense. Speaking of Gelatli, he'll force the puck out of the zone, creates some space and moves through neutral ice with speed down the near wing, throws it on goal. Luther has trouble with a bobbling puck, and it'll be cleared out. Couple of good chances there for UNC.
Nice rush by Gelatli with the puck, using his body positioning to ward off the defender to get a quick shot that Luther couldn't crisply handle.
Far corner, it's swept in front, nobody there for Duke, and it ends up all the way down to their blue line. Controlled by Turkovic. With speed, he finds a lane and stops on the far wall. Little give and go with Finch. Centering pass off the stick of Turkovic is deflected away, and now Gelatli has space to move up the near wing. He'll pick up the pace, rips one wide and around the net. And Reeves there to send it back in from the far point, centered by Gelatli, deflected just wide and into the near corner. Another scrum along the wall. Couple of Blue Devils along with the Tar Heel in Preby. As the puck squirts loose, and it looks like Wheeland was unable to hold the zone, so this will be offside, and the puck will come out into neutral ice.
Yeah, another nice rush by Gelatli. You can really see the difference that his speed makes for the team as far as generating scoring opportunities. And the shots he got the last couple times through, Luther hasn't been able to crisply handle. You know, you have to wonder, just with Luther giving up those 3 quick goals, if perhaps his confidence is maybe just a little bit shaken, not quite as high as it was in the first period.
Yeah, he certainly seems a little bit more unsteady. And again, a couple other options at goaltender. Will Strong and Ezra Bellamy on the bench for the Blue Devils, both with the goalie gear on, so they can come in at any point. But if you give up 3 goals in the span of about 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, and you don't get pulled in,
Right.
I think he's going to stay in.
There's definitely the most goalies we've seen dressed for any of the visitors here to the Orange County Sportsplex, which is a little bit ironic considering Duke, if you look in the standings, is probably has generated the lowest goals for, so they probably use a few more scoring players as opposed to goaltenders.
And even in the NHL, they only dress 2 goaltenders. In fact, I think a former ACCHL netminder, Calvin Stone, as we have a stick knocked away from Karen, but Calvin Stone, former Ice Pack member, is the backup goaltender, I think, if all else fails for the Carolina Hurricanes. Deflected deep. Tar Heels look to set up an attack. Whalen from the far point. Whips one in on goal. It's deflected wide. Centering pass stolen away by Felix Zhang for the Blue Devils. And he'll move it up the far boards. Takes a hit to make a play. Finds a teammate cutting to the middle, and the shot from the slot doesn't make it to the net. Nice job by the defense there, collapsing in and denying that opportunity.
Yeah, Graham Karen did a really nice job of watching the puck carrier as he came in, not getting fooled by what he was doing with the stick, but really watching his body and able to take away a good scoring chance as the puck carrier came through the middle part of the ice.
12:20 to go here in the second period. Big collision down in the near corner, and there's a player down for the Tar Heels.
They're
Slow
going
to
to call
get up.
number 13 here, maybe for interference. They were tangled up down there at the end.
Speaking of tangled up, looks like another Tar Heel. I believe that's Graham Karen down there. Got tied up with Simon Brennan in the corner. But that does get the whistle, and that was just not a smart penalty by the Blue Devils. There was no need for it. I think that Ian Reeves did a pretty good job. He pushed the envelope a little bit in terms of interference, pinning him along the boards, but he drew the penalty nicely.
It was a very smart play. The puck's right near both of them, so you're allowed to, the refs are going to allow you to play the body, especially if you're making some semblance of an effort to play the puck, and that's exactly what Reeves did. I think the Duke defenseman was frustrated, took a really bad penalty here, and we're almost seeing the script flip in some ways. Duke being the undisciplined team here, and UNC really taking advantage of opportunities as they present themselves.
Well, they have had a pretty strong power play throughout the course of the season. They'll get their first crack at it here tonight.
Yeah, it would be a slightly different makeup. Normally we're used to seeing Daniel Jones out there in the power play sort of anchoring the high spot and the 1-3-1 that they like to play. And right now it looks like that they have maybe Jesse Jacobs up there running at the high spot.
Yeah, the 5 out there for the Tar Heels: Jacobs, Adamson, Regan, Beeson, and Richard. They get it deep, but the Blue Devils retreat and clear it out and out of danger. 11:20 left in the second period. Tar Heels have 1:15 left on the man advantage. Richard restarting from behind his net, throws it off the far wall, too far for Jacobs, but a nice job tracking it down by Regan. Slaps one into the middle, that pass denied and cleared out by the Blue Devil penalty kill again.
Now we've seen the Blue Devil penalty kill clear this out a couple of times. One thing people at home might not appreciate is when you practice special teams in practice, it's always the same guys in the unit, and you assume maybe one guy's missing for an injury or something. But when you have this short of a bench, oftentimes your power play unit is now cobbled together, and these guys really haven't practiced breakouts, who's going to carry the puck up the ice, how you're going to enter the zone, like you would in an organized practice during the week.
And you can see it a little bit. The chemistry not quite there as Gelatley slides it across for Wheeland on the near wall. Back across for Reese into the far circle. Centering pass just missed the stick of Preby. Now Ian Reeves will quarterback. Looking to the middle, it's not there. Still Reeves in control in the near corner. Races behind the net, centering pass, wristed on goal, and a save by Luther. That looks a little bit more like the Cole Luther of the first period, but a point-blank chance there for the Tar Heels.
That's right, and so we know with UNC, their top unit will play a 1-3-1, which they tend to run 3 across the middle, 1 down low. There, since you have sort of what was called motley collection coming out for your power play too, you saw a much more traditional, what we call old man power play, with both of the defensemen up high playing the blue line and really working the perimeters, more of an umbrella style.
Another shot from the near point handled by Luther. He'll hold on for a face-off. Just 3 seconds left on the power play for UNC. We're at about the halfway point of the game. 10:09 to go in the second. It was a slow start for the Heels. They got things clicking at the end of the first period, finally got to the back of the net at the beginning of the period, but a chance here for Duke if they can move quickly. The man coming out of the box, but Tar Heels do a good job getting back. Felix Young, inside out move, back to the point far side. Wrist shot through traffic is swallowed up by Douthit as he does a nice job of finding that shot with some bodies in front.
It's a good little sequence for Duke. Graham Karen tried to make a pass across ice to his defensive partner. It was a little too soft, and it got tapped out right as the man was coming out of the box for Duke. They were able to get some zone time. Felix Young, who's a very good puck handler, was able to activate his defenseman up at the point, who got a nice shot off that Douthit saw and smothered there.
So the face-off to the glove side of Douthit on the far circle. It'll be Regan to take it for the Heels, and what a goal! Oh my goodness. That couldn't have happened any faster. It was one forward and sniping the top right corner. That was a heck of a shot.
That is. I mean, you know, that's the type of stuff that shows up on ESPN. He won that face-off forward and instantly was able to snipe a shot top shelf that was really faster than Douthit could react.
So a 3-2 hockey game now. That was a big goal for Duke because everything had been swinging in the favor of the Tar Heels this period. Now you see a little extra jump from the Blue Devils. Richard steps through traffic. He's got some space in the neutral zone. To the far wall, Reese tees one up. It's deflected wide and then swept right back out.
That's a really opportunistic goal, and it's one of those goals, if you're UNC, you're at the bench, everybody's kind of wondering what just happened, how that happened, because it happened so fast. So I think they're going to take a shift probably just to get themselves back in order here and hopefully settle down and retake the lead here. Or not retake the lead, but, you know, get another goal and reestablish a commanding lead.
It'll be Preby sending it to the middle from the near wall. Nobody there to connect with it. And it'll be cleared out and past the blue line. That'll force Graham Karen to take some time getting it deep. Works it all the way around into the near corner before he has it knocked away and cleared out again. Glove down by Wieland at the red line, and he'll send it right back in. But there to clear it out once more was Luke Turkovic. A neutral ice battle won by the Blue Devils as they knock it deep. Karen comes back away with it for the Tar Heels. And his pass missed the intended target. Icing will be waved off and play continues as Turkovic controls for the Blue Devils. Clears it up and out, too weak for an icing call. And so Gelatly collects it behind the net. You better look out here.
Yep. Duke's a little more aggressive on the forecheck right here, a little more confident.
And they did a nice job shutting Gelatly down there when he picked up some speed behind the net. And now a chance for Duke to attack. It's Ryan Feinberg into the far corner.
Feinberg's been playing a good solid game, good cross-ice pass there that his teammate just couldn't handle.
And now Jacobs steals it away from Ryan Jex. And his exit pass, looking for a teammate breaking into neutral ice, is a little too long. Jex now, a big slap shot off the left shoulder of Douthit and Hahn. And Beeson will pitchfork this one down the ice. Adamson giving chase. He's going to cancel out the icing as he wins the race to the puck. Centering pass, nobody there. And that has been the theme of the night on those centering passes for the Tar Heels. They just can't connect that last dot.
Yeah, and I think, you know, part of that, all these centering passes are on the initial rush into the zone, and that's always going to be a timing issue. And so when we talked, you know, at intermission about just slowing that down, the entry down, you know, and letting people get a little more established in, sometimes you'll have better luck connecting with those types of passes.
UNC still getting plenty of pressure in the offensive zone, finally alleviated by Duke as it's shoveled out and down after they gain the red line.
Since that last goal, the last 2-minute sequence, both teams seem to be just trying to find some rhythm here. You know, we've got a really good up-tempo game at the moment where both teams are really looking for the next ability to establish themselves in the offensive zone.
Look out, here's a chance for the Devils if they can get in. Glove save, the rebound patted away as well by Douthit. A couple of golden opportunities for Matt Finch, and now the puck will be lifted into the netting. And it should be a defensive zone face-off for the Tar Heels here. But Douthit comes up with a couple of big saves to keep the lead.
It looked like he mishandled just a teeny bit the first shot with his glove. He wasn't able to get it cleanly, kick back out, but he made a really nice second save to take away the scoring chance there.
Face-off one forward again by the Blue Devils. They couldn't get the shot away that time.
Looked like almost the exact same type of play they were trying. A little face-off win that just dribbles right past the center, and then you hop past him to get that quick shot off.
Matt Finch now for Duke. His entry pass denied by Richard and sent right back out to the red line. Felix Jean goes rink wide for Bentland.
And the way UNC sets up on its face-offs, you don't have a defenseman who's down low behind the center that's automatically going to step up and pick up the enemy center to the extent that that guy wins the draw and hops past your center. So, you know, there's a little bit of a vulnerability there that Duke's trying to exploit.
Ian Reeves into the zone, sends it to the middle, knocked to the ice for the Tar Heels. I believe that's Jacobs who couldn't get a touch to it. Duke clears it all the way down. Whelan will track it down. Tried to slap it around the wall, but his stick tied up nicely by number 22, Luke Turkovic. We've said his name a lot for the Blue Devils as he's been all over the place. Scored the first goal of the game for Duke, but Tar Heels have been in control for the most part since. Reese with the wrist shot right into the pads of Luther. He'll swallow it up for a face-off.
So we saw Beeson take the puck into the zone. He went wide, and he took that real quick initial shot. And I think, right there, if he's got the whole back corner to work with and potentially go behind the net, it would allow really the team just to get a little better established in the zone and create a higher potential scoring opportunity.
Off the far circle face-off, a wrist shot ended up high and into the glass behind the net. But UNC does get the win there. They've struggled a bit in the face-off circle at times today. And it'll be forced up the far wall and out. Couple of Tar Heels there couldn't stop it. Gelatley, one of them, but he takes the puck back, streaking down the near boards. Has it poked loose, and they'll fight for it along the wall. Sent through the middle, nobody there to deflect it on goal. And UNC continues to pressure. Behind the net, it'll be shoveled along by Simon Brennan. Into the near corner, stalls out there. And again, the Blue Devils will look to break it up and out. This time they do get out. Gaining the red line and sending it deep is Nathan Shaw. Richard gets to it for the Tar Heels. Back behind the UNC net, collected by Graham Karen. Karen has space through neutral ice. He's got a lane to the far side boards, takes it all the way into the corner, down to the side of the net, and he had nowhere to go with the pass. And Felix Zhang dispossessed quickly by Gelatley behind the cage. He's got no pass in front, sends it to the point. One-timer high and wide, coming off the stick of Graham Karen. Still Tar Heel puck. Backhanded to the far corner, Gelatley will circle with it. Throws it towards the net. Loose puck in front. And the Blue Devils come away with it. Felix Zhang, nice step around Whelan. Plays it along for Feinberg. In on Douthit, he makes the save. Rebound still loose, and the Tar Heels clear it to the boards and out of danger.
Yeah, Whelan just missed. I think he was coming across maybe to potentially deliver a check and allowed for a potential 2-on-1 to come in. And Feinberg had another good scoring opportunity.
Under 4 minutes to play in the second. A 3-2 lead for the Tar Heels along the near wall. It'll be UNC coming away with it in the form of Graham Karen. His clearance denied. Out in front, a chance for the Blue Devils. Centering pass for Turkovic is denied. Great back check from Regan, because that was a gaping 4x6 for Luke Turkovic, and that was a tie ball game.
That was, yeah. Number 13 was just standing right there. He was patient. He just handled the puck. He was waiting for the far side winger to come across and really get that nice empty net goal. And a good defensive play by our Tar Heels.
They come right back and score. In transition, Douthit beaten on the far side of the goal. And it is now 3-3 as the Blue Devils get a couple late here in the period.
And I don't think we have a name for number 13, but I believe he was the person who scored the goal off the faceoff for Duke previously. So good period for him so far.
Yeah, he showed a lot of skill, particularly on that play that didn't result in the goal. You talked about his patience in front of the net. He could have fired one right into Douthit, but he waited, let the goaltender go down to create the best opportunity. So he's a number to keep an eye out for the rest of this game.
Good patient, good pickup for them at center. I don't recall seeing him the last game.
Well, they will continue to fight along the near wall, and another chance coming for the Blue Devils. Pass to the middle. Wrist shot is shut down nicely by the back-checking Ian Reeves. And we'll get another whistle, as it looks like this one ended up in the net over in the far corner. But that is another great chance, and some credit there to the Blue Devils. And I think if you're UNC, you just kind of have to hunker down at the ends of these periods with a short bench. I think guys are a little gassed.
You're probably a little bit tired, and at the same time, we've definitely seen some momentum shifts here. They got up 3-1, 3 really quick goals. Looked like Duke was on their heels. And number 13 for Duke really just sort of changed the tempo of the game with that really quick goal right off the faceoff.
Into the middle. One-time shot is high and wide. We'll get a stoppage, as I believe that was Beeson who went barreling into Cole Luther. I think he just lost an edge there.
Yeah, he did. Beeson had a prime scoring opportunity, wide open coming through the middle of the slot. And then I think, he's coming in pretty fast, and the Duke defenseman's leaning on him as well. So certainly not intentional running the goal. It's just those things happen.
Still a little bit fortunate, though. A lot of times, or at least some of the time, you see that call where a player loses control a bit into the netminder. A lot of times, the instinct there is to protect the goalie and call that a goaltender interference penalty. But the Tar Heels get away with that here. And off the faceoff, it's knocked back into the Tar Heel end. Tracked down by Richard. Rink wide for Whalen. Banked up the boards. Reese deflects it back to Richard. A chance, maybe a 2-on-1 if they move quickly. To the near wall for Gelattley. He'll fire one wide. Reese tracks it down on the far side. And now Ben Reese will look things over. Throws it towards the net. Nobody there to knock it home. And it'll be knocked back out, and UNC regroups. Ben Reese again. Backhanded into the far corner. Whalen there waiting for it for UNC. Just 1:50 left in period number 2. A very early surge in this period from the Tar Heels has been a huge boost, but the Blue Devils have had the better play here in the last couple minutes.
Yeah, the Blue Devils are really attacking hard. Been very aggressive on their forecheck as well.
And they've gotten vertical here. Awkward entry to the zone. They thought they might be offside. UNC takes advantage. Reese with the steal. He'll move back in. Down the far wing. Button hooks over along the hashes. And a centering pass is denied and taken away by Felix Young.
Duke tried to get a little too fancy with their entry into the zone. A little drop pass with not enough space that UNC capitalized, taking it the other way.
Here comes Duke again. Centering pass off the skate of Richard. And into the near corner, swept around the boards, slapped to the middle. Nobody gets a good tip to it for Duke, or they could have taken the lead. Big hit by Preby in the near corner.
Really good check by Preby there in the corner.
Under a minute to go, 45 seconds in this second period. Misplay there from Karen, and we're going to get a penalty on the Tar Heels. This will go against Adamson.
Yeah, looked like Adamson caught the Duke player from behind, planted him on his face.
Yeah, he came in behind Nathan Shaw. I think it was a little awkward. I think Adamson's argument is going to be that Shaw turned last second and he couldn't avoid the contact. But his protests are not going to be successful. 2-minute penalty, and now 40 seconds of 5-on-4 hockey for Duke before the end of the period.
Unfortunately, as every hockey player knows, even the best arguers never get that penalty changed. So all you can hope for is that potentially they give it to you next time in the third period.
So the Heels will send out Regan, Wieland, Reese, and Karen on the penalty kill. Face-off won by Duke, and it'll be controlled by Simon Brennan to the middle point. Slapper blocked off a skate, and now back again for Brennan. Along the near wall, it's swept out by Wieland with 25 seconds to go in the period. Moved forward, pass intended for Sam Bentland is slapped right back out.
Good clear by Karen there.
And UNC just has to weather 15 more seconds before they get a breather at the end of the period. Moving with speed, the Blue Devils straight down the middle, and a nice poke check. Knocks the puck loose. Taken away by Reese, and he'll clear it out. That should finish off the period as Regan chases it down in the near corner. The horn will sound. 3 goals in the span of about 3 minutes for the Tar Heels. Early in the period gave them a huge boost, but Duke taking advantage of the extra bodies on the bench. They score too late, and we're tied at 3 after 40 minutes.
2 periods down, 1 to go here at the Orange County Sportsplex. Chris Lehman and John Johnson back with you at the second intermission. And John, a great start to the period for the Tar Heels. Jumped out, scored 3 goals in the first 4 minutes and change, and took a 3-1 lead. So a great start to the period. A little bit slow at the end as they let the Blue Devils even it up, though.
Yeah, so we talked in between the first intermission about allowing the defensemen to get more involved in the offensive play. And we saw the first goal of the period really result as because of that. Defenseman took a shot, kicked bat out, and Adamson was able to score off a rebound. The second goal was the result of, again, sort of establishing themselves in the zone, creating a turnover that allowed for a good shot from the high slot that went to the top corner. So that was good. And then we saw some fatigue and some sloppy grinding play kick in as the period went on for both teams. The shot totals were pretty equal. After that first flurry, both teams really only took 6 or 7 shots for the rest of the period. Duke has a really hot player in number 13 who was able to capitalize on a really nice face-off play to score, and then really create some good scoring opportunities, which also resulted in a second goal for him later in that period.
Charles Schaefer was a very dangerous player for the Blue Devils. The big thing that might be a little bit of a concern for the Tar Heels, we've talked about it plenty, but it is certainly starting to be a little bit more prevalent, I think, after that second period, is the legs are starting to wear out a little bit for the Tar Heels.
So now is where a combination of coaching and playing strategically is going to be more important. So you know that you have a hot player on the ice in terms of Schaefer, so you're really going to want to key on him, whether that's assigning a forward to be more cognizant of where he is on the ice, or back checking him more consistently to take away who seems to be the top scoring threat for them, being a little smarter on your rushes, and staying out of the penalty box to get away from having to take 2 or 4 minutes in the period where you're going to be in a more intense skating penalty kill type situation. Those are all ways in which you can start to at least neutralize some of the effects that fatigue will have. The other thing, which is obvious but which sometimes can be hard to do, is taking consistent short shifts. It may seem counterintuitive. What difference does it make if I play 10 minutes and I take 2 minutes at a time versus 10 minutes, 1 minute at a time? But it makes a big difference when you're engaging in roll-up tempo skating. It makes a big difference for your team as far as whether or not they're stuck out there at a time against a fresh set of legs from Duke, because we know they're running 3 full lines.
And I don't know if the shorter change will help. Certainly a second period long change, a little easier to get stuck out there for extended periods of time. But they'll get the short change in the third period. They're going to come out a little more rested as they get a break here at the intermission. But what do they need to do in order to come away with the win?
So I think we want to do some of the things that we did at the start of the second period. One is just being a little more patient when you come into the zone. And we've talked about this, but it's really paying good rewards with a goalie like Luther. So as you come into the zone and go wide, you don't necessarily have to take that real quick shot. You can be patient. You can go behind the net if they're going to give that to you. That's going to allow your forwards to come in to establish, potentially put a forward in high slot, and allow both your defensemen to get set up and either be in a position to take a low shot on Luther that will kick out, or to just restart that cycle. And that's going to have the benefit of tiring out the Duke team just a little bit and allowing you to catch your breath and take a more strategic aspect to your scoring chances. Another thing that they'll need to do is obviously stay out of the box. We say that all the time, but you can't put yourself in these penalty kill situations when you're running 3 defensemen. And then finally, just good, crisp passing, because the more you can connect on the passes, the less skating you're going to have to do and chasing of pucks you're going to have to do. So good puck control. And then finally, we had talked about it, you and I, that Duke is really doing a good job on faceoffs. And, when you lose a faceoff, suddenly you're chasing after the puck, the other team has possession. So the more we can win faceoffs and establish control, the better this team's going to do in the third period. And if they can combine those things, we should see a win for UNC.
Well, it's been a back-and-forth affair so far. 3-3 tie between your UNC Tar Heels and the Duke Blue Devils as we get set for the third period. We'll be back with the puck drop right after this.
Welcome back to the Orange County Sportsplex for the third and final period between your UNC Tar Heels and the Duke Blue Devils. It is a 3-3 tie now. It is worth noting Chris Lehman, John Johnson alongside as we get set for period number 3. But, John, it's worth noting, minute and 21 seconds left on a penalty for the Tar Heels to kill off here.
Yeah, it's not the way you want to start the period. But so far, the penalty kill, this is the 4th time out there. Other than giving up that real quick goal on the very first power play, they've done a nice job of getting pucks out of the zone quick. So we'll see what this top unit can do.
An important kill here for the Tar Heels to start the period. Center ice face-off between Charles Schaffer and Mason Regan, won by Schaffer of the Blue Devils. And they'll look to establish their power play. Stopping as he enters the zone is Luke Turkovich. They'll fight for it along the near wall. Into the corner, it's swept behind the net. Schaffer along the far wall with it. Works his way into the corner, back behind the net. Looking out in front, nobody there. Denied nicely by the Tar Heels. Back up top, Ryan Jex over for Turkovich. He'll wrist one on goal, and a nice glove save handled by Will Douthit. He'll squeeze for the faceoff with 47 seconds left on the power play.
Good puck movement by Duke, working that around the perimeter. Schaffer was really patient, got it up to the point, cross ice pass to the other defenseman, and then Douthit saw the puck really well and swallowed it with his glove.
About 34 seconds into period number 3. The faceoff cleared out and all the way down. The Blue Devils will have to chase it down and reset the power play. Ooh, that one looks like it caught a puddle in the middle of the ice, and it did again. And that can happen sometimes if the Zamboni leaves a little extra water down there. And at least at the beginning of the period, that's worth keeping an eye on, because where that is could leave a golden scoring opportunity.
Yeah, there's a slick patch right in the center part of the ice. Sometimes if there's just a little too much water from the Zamboni or the temperature isn't just quite right on the ice, you'll have a little bit of a slicks patch there that'll cause the puck to stop. And we saw that twice as Duke was trying to break the puck up ice.
The Blue Devils in control. You hear the stick of Luther signaling the power play coming to an end for Duke. And they will back it out and reset the forecheck. Shoveled in by Turkovic behind the UNC goal. And the Tar Heels will control as the Blue Devils get a change. This is going to come back all the way down, as I believe that was Graham Karen. Not sure where he was looking to go with it.
I don't know either. I mean, he just chucked the puck up, and there was really nobody on that side of the ice. And I think as soon as the puck left his stick, he realized it's going to be an icing.
I believe this is a fresher line out there right now for the Tar Heels. They did get a change before that icing call. But again, as we harp on that short bench a little bit more, those icing calls can come back to bite you. Soft squibbler in on Douthit. He steers it to the corner. And a chance for UNC to break out. Nice stretch pass for Gelatley. Lifts a pass to the middle for Adamson. He scores! 2 minutes into the third period, and Chris Adamson with another gives the Tar Heels back the lead.
Great. That was the second goal by Adamson this game. And Gelatley comes in wide and really makes a nice touch pass through the middle. A little bit of a saucer pass to get over the stick of the Duke defenseman who was coming down through the slot trying to take away that pass. Adamson gets his opportunity and is able to bury it.
18:06 left in period number 3. Tar Heels have broken the tie once again, and they have the lead back. And that's exactly how you wanted the start of that period to go if you're UNC. Right after you kill the penalty, you score. Not only do you score, but the guy that took the penalty, and Adamson, comes out of the box, and not long after gives the Tar Heels back the lead. Speaking of UNC, they're in control again. Whelan powering into the offensive zone. To the far corner for Jacobs. Give and go with Reeves, and the one-timer from Jacobs is held on to by Luther for the face-off.
Yeah, we've talked about this, a couple times throughout the season. Gelatley, with his speed, is able to create opportunities that other players normally wouldn't be able to do. So with the speed, he was able to come wide into the zone, put a lot of pressure on that Duke defense, and that's what set up that nice scoring play.
Cleared out off the face-off by Duke. Whelan will race to it in the far corner. Up the boards, it's banked along into neutral ice. Reeves with space. Down the far wing, has a man with him, but a nice job defensively by Simon Brennan, who came over and simultaneously really denied the pass and then denied the shot.
It was good play by Brennan to really, be cognizant. You're, as a defenseman in that situation, you want to take away the pass first, and then with an active stick, he was able to get in on the puck carrier and deflect that puck up into the netting.
So an offensive zone face-off for the Tar Heels. Regan up against Schaffer. Schaffer wins it back to his teammate in Ryan Jex, but they can't clear. Top of the near circle. Wrist shot blocked by Felix Zhang off the stick of Matt Gelatley. Zhang with speed. Stops up at the blue line, and a centering pass intercepted and swatted back out by Regan. Collected at the red line and slapped in by Jex.
A little bit of that dump and chase that we've seen from Duke.
And now UNC will clear out. Wasn't much of a forecheck there from the Blue Devils. They'll get another chance here. Whelan pressured by Schaffer lightly. Slaps it around the boards, deflected to the middle, and now cleared out into neutral ice. Weaving down the far wing for the Tar Heels is Preby. Centering pass, and it's deflected wide by Regan. Now Gelatley on the near wall. Looking for an open teammate. Leaves it at the near point for Whelan. Tried to slap it deep. That was denied. Throws it on goal. And Beeson was there to try and knock home the rebound, but Luther all over that one. And we'll get another face-off.
A little low shot by Whelan. And then Regan had come in earlier and really just went wide with a nice pass that came right to the center of the crease there. And good prime scoring area.
16:41 to go in this contest. Adamson to take the face-off for the Tar Heels against Ryan Feinberg.
Good face-off win there.
And the Tar Heels control. Knocked behind the net. Adamson tried to direct it out in front and hit the back of the net with it. They'll fight in the far corner. Reese wins that battle. Backhands it back under the goal line. They'll fight again behind the Duke cage. Swept up the far boards. Pinching there, Karen. At least slows it up, and the Tar Heels are able to keep the zone. Reese now on the forecheck. Sam Bentland shielding him off the puck. And the Blue Devils still trying to clear.
Good sequence here. A lot of hustle by UNC to keep this puck established in the zone.
They've done great work at the blue line. Now in the near corner, Bentland again denied up the near wall, this time by Richard. Backhand pass out in front,
Great
and
job
nobody
by
there to meet it.
Richard using his skates, pinching in to keep that puck in.
And it finally squirts just outside of the Blue Devil blue line. And now Duke is able to clear it deep.
Wonderful sequence by the whole UNC unit, applying pressure and keeping that puck in. Even though you don't get a good scoring chance, it really does a good job of tiring out your opponent.
Elevated pass through the middle, bodied down by Preby, but he couldn't control. Duke in possession now. It's Luke Turkovic circling around behind his own net, steps past Ian Reeves as well, and then pokes the puck down deep into the Tar Heel end.
Good play by Gelatley coming back to dispossess him of the puck after he had gone through 2 UNC defenders.
And a little pinball action there through the slot. Douthit able to find the puck and cover. We'll get another face-off. One thing, we talked a lot about how good UNC has looked here at the start of this third period, but we're going to have to see how long they can sustain that. They did a great job for about 15 minutes in the second period before things started to tail off a bit. The question is, does that happen again?
That's exactly right. You know, it's almost a mirror of the second period start. And so, you know, really is the question of how sustainable, and that comes back to just playing fundamental hockey, good short shifts.
Big slapper from Gelatley, bodied down by Luther. The rebound patted away as well, still loose in front, and it's finally poked out of danger by Felix Jung.
Gelatley single-handedly created some good scoring chances there, some hard shots that Luther wasn't able to control, kicked out in front, resulting in multiple scoring chances.
Bouncing puck through neutral ice, skittering down into the UNC end. Getting to it first, Turkovic, his wrister sticked away by Douthit.
This third period's been a pretty wide open affair. You know, if you're a fan at home, it's a pretty fun, fast-paced game. Both teams really turning on the offense, taking a little more chances than they did probably consistently through the second.
Gelatley with a quick takeaway, looking to move back in transition. Sweeps one on goal. Rebound handled as well by Luther as the trailing man, Ian Reeves, got a great shot on net. But again, it's Luther coming up big. And, you know, you look at this Duke team, you could look down their schedule and their results, and you think, wow, they need some goaltending, but that's not the case.
No.
This is a great goaltender in Cole Luther who has to do a lot of work to keep his team in a game like this.
Yeah, we talked Duke scored 14 goals in league play a whole season, so you're not going to win a lot of games when you're averaging about 1.5 goals a game, regardless how good your goaltender is.
High slot chance for the Tar Heels, and Reeves couldn't corral, or Beeson, pardon me, could not corral for the shot.
But what we saw was Gelatley really came across the middle, did a little dipsy-doodle and spun, and got a really nice low shot that Luther's not able to handle with his body or his glove that kicked off his pads and gave another second chance opportunity for our Tar Heels.
Well, now Duke will set up the forecheck and get the offense established in the zone. Near point, Bentland throws it back to the corner, gets it right back from Ryan Feinberg. They'll work along the near wall. Centering pass again stolen away by the Heels, and Graham Karen will elevate it up and out. Great job on the forecheck by Beeson. He wins the battle in the near corner. Stripped of the puck, though, quickly by Simon Brennan. And he'll create some space down in the far corner. Across for Bentland. Passed up. Nice hit by Regan to knock the puck loose. Beeson loses his stick in the commotion and can't get a good shot away as the Tar Heels continue.
Beeson and Regan are applying good pressure down here on this shift.
Duke finally able to find a way out down the near wall. Weaving down the near wing now is Matt Finch. Wrister blockered away by Douthit. And a loose puck in the slot. It's Feinberg. He finds a way to get to the puck. Slaps it on goal, and the game is tied. That was a great individual effort from Ryan Feinberg as he had to beat a couple of Tar Heel defensemen on that play, and he's evened up the score.
He did, and it was actually set up by Finch, who was able to tuck this puck, come in wide. He goes wide and then cuts back to the inside and is able to get a shot off, really because nobody plays his body in that circumstance. Kicks out a rebound and restarts that offensive sequence that Feinberg eventually capitalizes on.
And this is gut check time for the Tar Heels. 12:45 to go in the game. They surrender their lead, and we're back tied at 4-4. And you can see that the energy level from Duke seems just a tad higher right now. We'll see if the Tar Heels can dig down deep and find a little extra.
Well, if you're Duke, you've been beat up pretty bad by UNC in the past. In ice hockey, this season has not gone well for you from a season perspective, nor against your arch rival here. So I think you're going to see the energy levels for them stay high because they have a realistic shot to beat UNC. So I wouldn't expect any letdown from them at all.
Play will continue despite that last shot from Gelatly actually coming up into the netting. So play resumes. Here's Gelatly again on a break, alone. He scores on the backhand. Matt Gelatly finally breaking through for the Tar Heels, and they take the lead right back with 12 minutes to go.
You saw Jelly really with his speed come into the offensive zone, get good body position, and then he's able to put a nice backhand into net. You know, it's a really tough play to stop when you got somebody coming in that speed who also has the patience to go to his backhand and put that up. Really wonderful job.
And I mentioned earlier, we talked about it in the first period, using that little extra burst of energy to create that chance. It's magnified more in this period. So being able to capitalize on that and not expending the energy without the result is a big plus as well. Tar Heels back on the attack. Beeson tried to center from the near corner. He was denied.
Great counter by UNC, and really nice to see Gelatly get on the board considering the amount of energy and offensive chances he's created for the team today.
And again, the Blue Devils will be tasked with evening up the score. Douthit sets it on a tee on the far side boards for Graham Karen. Karen wrestling with a Blue Devil. It's eventually forked up the boards, but not out. Wrist shot right into the glove of Douthit, and he'll hold on to that shot from Simon Brennan. 11:23 to go in this third period now. It'll be an offensive zone faceoff for the Blue Devils. And the go-to guy is out there. Charles Schaffer has been great on the faceoffs. Now this is not the right circle, and so he won't take the draw to be Turkovic. But it looked like they were trying to set him up at the point for a shot.
They were trying to set him up for a good shot right off the draw.
And a weak clearance will avoid icing. Ben Reese on the forecheck comes away with the puck behind the cage. Knocked off by Schaffer, who also knocks his stick away, and then it's cleared up and out. Wieland gets a glove to it. Wasn't able to hold the zone, but kept it close. And now the Tar Heels with the delayed offside will have to check up.
It'll be interesting to see if Duke can respond here. They have responded well. You know, they've fallen behind at multiple points in this game, and each time they've battled their way back.
I think the message on the Duke bench has got to be, look, we've got more bodies. Keep throwing it at them, and eventually they're going to break. But right now, the Tar Heels have found a little extra energy after that goal, and they've been able to keep the pressure on Duke's defense. Cross-ice pass from Simon Brennan. Catches the boards. They'll fight for it. Schaffer comes away with it to the middle for Zhang. His wrister off the chest protector of Douthit. Cleared to the far boards. Held in at the blue line by the Blue Devils. That was Brennan. But eventually the Heels able to force it out.
The Schaffer-Zhang line has brought a lot of energy for Duke. It's given some challenges to a UNC team that obviously is running light in the defensive core.
They're used to playing short on the defensive side. That Virginia Tech game a couple weeks ago, we saw them play with 4 defensemen, 3 of course tonight as we have an offsides call.
Yeah, and I think, you know, another challenge that you really might not notice unless you're paying close attention is when you have 7 players, you're never going to get the same consistent lines out there. There's always somebody new floating in and out, whether you're having 3 right wingers or 3 left wingers or 3 centers. So you don't quite get that same chemistry and gel that you would get if you're playing with the same line mates shift after shift after shift.
Well, we do have 2 minutes up on the clock as John Beeson went to the box for the Tar Heels. And so he will serve a 2-minute minor. I did not see what the call was for. I saw the official's hand go up. And so now a Blue Devil power play. This is not what you wanted if you're UNC. You got to spend a lot of energy to kill this off and keep the lead. Schaffer from the top of the umbrella wrists one off the blocker of Douthit to the far corner. Back to Schaffer again. Another wrister, and again the blocker saved by Douthit. Behind the net, they'll fight for it.
They've got Schaffer working that high point up there. You know, he's their hot hand. So they're trying to put him in a position to get as many shots as possible.
Well, speaking of a hot hand, here comes Gelatly with some speed after he picks off the pass to the middle. And he's going to be forced off the puck nicely by Ryan Jex.
Ryan Jex did a really good job there of not getting caught up with Gelatley's moves with his hands, but just playing the body. If you play the body, there's nowhere for that skater to go. He can't outmaneuver you necessarily because you're not going to fall for something he's doing with the stick.
He just saw a nice little hustle play from Mason Regan on a diving poke check to give Carolina a chance to clear, but Duke establishing the power play again. 8:50 to go in the game. 55 seconds on the man advantage for the Blue Devils.
Good
hustle.
Aggressive play up at the point there by Reese.
And he kicked it out of the zone, which will force Duke to reset the power play. Matt Finch to the far wall for Schaffer. Backhanded to the middle for Turkovic. Looking for Schaffer at the point, and the puck will be cleared. Looked like it deflected off a stanchion at the UNC penalty box. And so the faceoff will come down into the Tar Heel end because it was cleared from their zone.
So another important faceoff here down in their own zone. Winning faceoffs, especially on a penalty kill, can really mean the difference between 20 seconds of easy ice time in a penalty kill, relatively speaking, versus 20 seconds of really difficult skating.
And a great win off the faceoff. Gelatley just slapped it all the way down the ice.
Yeah, good use of going forward with the faceoff instead of pulling back. Just took a slap shot almost right off of the faceoff there.
30 seconds left on the sentence to Beeson. And 8:15 to go in the game. Man down on the far side. Zhang will get back up. Play continues, no call. And they'll fight on the near wall.
They were fortunate. Schaefer had a nice looking shot there. He just went high and wide.
Speaking of Schaffer, he's got it up top again. Over to the fall wall, Turkovic. Back to Schaffer. To the near point for Bentland. He'll throw one towards the net. Rebound loose on the near side. Nobody can put it on net. There for the Blue Devils with Sam Freder. Sent out in front again, and once again, nobody gets a stick to it.
Feinberg was right there, really ready to hammer one home. Unfortunately, did not go in.
Penalty has come to a close as Beeson returns to the ice. 7:35 to go in the game. Pass out in front. Deflects to the high slot, and a nice save by Douthit. A snapshot off the stick of Ryan Feinberg from the high slot with no traffic in front.
Zhang made a nice move down there in the corner to get past the defenseman, and then had his head up and made a nice pass to Feinberg in the high slot there. So good scoring opportunity, good pressure by Duke. Good job by UNC killing off the penalty.
The good news right now for UNC, it at least feels like this period has gone faster than the other two. Just 7.5 to go.
Yeah, now if you're at UNC, regardless of the short bench, it ends in sight. You can mentally count up the shifts. You're maybe out there 2 or 3 more times. And so now you figure, okay, I can go leave it all out on the ice.
Adamson breaking into the zone, weaving around Jex. Couldn't get it to the net. Centers it, though, from the far corner. Reese was there on the doorstep and couldn't tap it home.
Great centering pass to Reese, who got that puck in his skates, was able to kick it from his skates to his hand, get a good quality shot off on Luther.
Felix Zhang, a little bit dangerous dancing around in front of his own net, but he's able to clear it out. Now Ryan Feinberg powering in. Dispossessed, and the Tar Heels turn it back out.
Good job of using the body on Feinberg. I think that was Richard who really took him off the puck.
Under 7 minutes to play. Matt Finch through neutral ice. He'll weave through the Tar Heel defense and lift it in behind Douthit. Tracked down by Karen. He'll shovel it up the boards, but not out. Blue Devils in control. In the far corner, they'll fight for it. It's swept back behind the net. Pinned there, and UNC comes away with it, but only momentarily. Schaffer, turnaround shot from the far face-off dot, and he couldn't find the net. It'll be slapped back deep. Winds all the way around the boards where UNC can collect it. And Jake Whelan.
Good play by Jake Whelan there, just patiently walking the puck up the ice. Nobody's challenging him, so he takes it up, past the red line, dumps it in.
Heavy hit. Again, it's Preby.
And look who has it. Gelatley, good cross-ice pass.
Finds Richard, tees one up, pad save by Luther. Out in front with traffic was Preby, and the puck will be sent all the way down, but Schaffer will beat out the icing. Looking over his shoulder, he's got a man breaking to the net, but no passing lane. Schaffer around Richard, lifts it up, and Douthit has the post sealed.
Good patience by Schaffer there, working behind the net, trying to come forward and get a good scoring opportunity for himself.
Near wall, to be directed in by Simon Brennan, steered to the far corner by Douthit.
At the opposite end, we saw Gelatley with good patience, kind of double back, wait for Whelan to come in, establish himself for a good quality scoring opportunity at the other side.
Tar Heels breaking out now. Richard doing it all himself into the offensive zone. Poked away by Brennan and furthered out by Felix Zhang. Stretch pass looking for Sam Freder. Behind the net, battling for it with Richard, who's back on the puck. Loses control, but right to a teammate in Reeves. And he's unable to get it out. They'll fight again along the half wall. Chasing it down, Gelatly in the middle of the ice. Looking up, trying to find a teammate, and he does. He's got Reeves going inside out. Centering pass denied. Back to the far side, and it's Beeson over there. Reeves making the move to the middle.
Excellent heads-up pass by Gelatly.
We'll start keeping an eye on the net for Duke. 4:25 to go. They're down by 1. Schaffer with the takeaway in the neutral zone. Angles to the far boards, wrapping back behind the net.
So
looking.
I'm UNC. I want to get a body on Schaffer. I don't want him shooting. I want to make him pass.
Well, they do it right there. Karen knocked him down into the far corner. But Duke still in control. One-timer from the top of the near circle. It's loose in front after the rebound, and Duke comes away with it. Turkovic throws one towards the net, stuck in traffic, and it'll be deflected to the near corner.
Some good fortune there. I don't think Douthit quite had his eye on the puck after it hit him.
Another one-timer from Schaffer, and it's stopped by Douthit. Post to post he goes, and he seals it off nicely. Schaffer forcing it out in front again. Loose puck in front, and Douthit will dive on it. Great goaltending from Will Douthit to keep that one out of the net.
Boy, there's a real scramble there. Will Douthit really just a one-man show. Not getting a lot of help against Schaffer. Schaffer's working behind the net, using time and space just to create small opportunities there, maybe to get a tap in or stuff in goal or just push it between the legs of Douthit.
So 3:41 to go. Now, can't jump inside the head of the Duke head coach, but I would imagine in the next minute and a half to 2 minutes, we'll see him looking to Cole Luther to come to the bench.
Yeah, if I had to guess, with a 1-goal lead like this, Duke's probably going to wait till sometime between 2 minutes and a minute 45 when they have possession down at that end of the ice at UNC's end, whether off a face-off or on a good rush to pull Luther.
Well, they certainly don't want to pull him if they don't have to, and it looks like Duke will call a timeout here. And I didn't see who it was signaled. Certainly UNC could just be looking to get a little extra rest to try and get a little extra boost for the last 3:41. But either way, one of these teams is calling a timeout. It's either Carolina trying to get a little extra rest or the Blue Devils, who've been good with some drawn-up plays off the face-off, trying to set something up.
Different strategies here. So, Carolina, sometimes if you're the coach and you're running a short bench and you're down, there's two real schools of thought. You just want the clock to go as fast as possible. You don't want to give any team the time to kind of come up with any sort of strategy. On the other hand, you've got that timeout, and it really gives you just a chance for everybody to get a breather, get some Gatorade, just have a talk. You can calm down somebody who maybe is just a little bit jittery, get your best 5 out there, and start to game plan that final 3.5 minutes. And if you're Duke, a lot of coaches in this situation will save that timeout for the final 2 minutes. But you also have the chance here, knowing that you're going to pull your goalie, to, hey, talk about what you want to do ahead of that in the final 2 minutes before you pull the goalie. And then once you do, what your strategy is going to be after the goalie's pulled.
So the two teams back out onto the ice, ready for the face-off in the far circle on the blocker side of Will Douthit. And we're going to have, looks like, some confusion for UNC coming out of the break as to who they were going to put on the ice.
You'll see Schaffer's out there. He's not up at the point like they had drawn up last time.
But they do win it to him on the far wall. He's immediately pressured by Reese and dispossessed. Tar Heels in control. Backhanded out into neutral ice. Looking for Adamson was Regan. And they'll fight along the near wall. It's Regan coming away with a loose puck. Abbreviated 2-on-1. Looking to the middle. The rebound's loose, and they can't get a clean stick to it. A wide open net, and it's swept back in. Well, it was a missed opportunity initially for Ben Reese, who just couldn't get clean wood to the puck, but he stayed with it and swept it home.
Good scoring opportunity there. All three of them really pressuring hard into the zone. I think each of them had a chance at the puck. Regan, Reese, and Adamson. Great third and fourth effort, and really wonderful job by Luther trying to keep that puck out as each of them tried to find the puck at their feet and finally get the tap in.
Now, Duke still has time to put 2 goals up on the board, but this changes things a bit. Now that you're down 2, Luther likely going to come to the bench a little bit earlier. But if you're Carolina, this may free you up a little bit, relieve you a little bit, know that you don't want to make a mistake, but if you do, you can afford to.
Right.
Slap shot from the high
And
slot.
if you're Carolina here, you can also start to change your strategy just a little bit. You don't want anybody chasing behind the net in the Duke zone. You know, your forwards should all be relatively high. You really don't want to allow anybody to transition freely up through that center part of the ice. Every transition at this point for Duke has to be earned.
Graham Karen with the puck. Slid to the near boards for Gelatly. He'll gain the red line. Tried to send it deep, but the pass denied by Bentland. He'll go rink wide for Lukovic. Stretch pass, missed everybody. And we'll get an icing call or hold. It looks like the linesman signaled offsides. So this will stay on top of the Tar Heels zone, just outside in neutral ice.
So now at 2:34, you know, really you just want to play a little more conservative, not be overly aggressive as you bring the puck into the Duke zone. Now's the time where, you know, if you get that quick chance to take a quick shot on goal, go ahead and take it. You don't need to try to get your offense necessarily established. You don't want to be too deep. What you really don't want is any sort of quick transition by guys like Schaffer or Zhang.
Well, here's a quick transition. Beeson chased down the puck and just missed Preby with the centering pass. That'll give the Blue Devils a chance to move out.
And
Turkovic with space to the net, couldn't get it to fall.
And that's exactly what you don't want. You have all 3 forwards are sort of caught in low at that point and allows the 3-on-2 coming the other way.
They'll still fight for it. And the Tar Heel end. Under 2 minutes to go. Luther still in his net.
So the key here for UNC is you don't mind Duke bringing that puck up ice. You just don't want that quick transition game where they can get that up ice and a good scoring chance in 5-10 seconds.
There's Turkovic, can't get the backhander to the net, and a chance to move out for UNC. With space, it's Preby. Poked away initially by Ryan Jex, but he'll backhand it into the corner. Jex gets to it first, chased by Adamson, up the boards for Freder, and he'll clear it all the way down. UNC picks it up at the defense, slapped up the near boards, and again it's the Blue Devils taking control. Simon Brennan will swing it deep. 1:15 to go in the contest. 2-goal lead for the Tar Heels. And a chance to add to it. Gelatly, big slap shot. Nice stick from Brennan to deflect that wide. Now Schaffer at his own blue line will lift it out, banks it down the boards. Richard on the near side gets to it first, and UNC will control. They're not giving Luther much time to get to the
They're not
bench.
giving him really any opportunity. I haven't seen the Duke coaches really even looking at actively signaling to him to come off.
42.4 seconds to go in the period, and the clock is stopped. They thought it went out of play, and you hear from the Tar Heel bench they're screaming clock, clock,
Luther's
clock.
waving towards the bench. I think he's a little frustrated that they're not pulling him off, actually.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to stay in 6-4 with 24 seconds to play in the contest.
Sort of an unusual coaching decision from my perspective.
So the only time I can remember that happening, I wasn't even alive for it, but was the Russians not pulling the netminder
Right,
against the Americans.
exactly.
11 seconds to go. There's some extracurriculars all over the place in the Duke end.
Good history lesson for our kids at home, Chris.
3 seconds, left in this contest. The final seconds run off the clock, and the Tar Heels get a big win over rival Duke. That is also a nice stopper for the Tar Heels, who had some trouble losing their last 3 straight. So they get a big win, 6-4 over Duke, and that's some momentum building towards next weekend.
You know, and I think we should take this opportunity to thank all the fans who have listened in this season. Really appreciate your support for the team. You know, these players, you know, they have full-time academic schedules. They're busy. They do this just for the love of the game. And so all the support you provide them is very much appreciated. So thank you for tuning in and supporting the team. And let's root them on in the playoffs.
We certainly aren't done covering them just quite yet. We'll have some post-game interviews with our player of the game, as well as the coach himself, Jeff Volkman. 6-4 the final, UNC over Duke. We'll be right back here at the Orange County Sportsplex.
We're back at the Orange County Sportsplex after a 6-4 victory for your UNC Tar Heels over the Duke Blue Devils. Chris Lehman, John Johnson here with you after the UNC win, but a gritty third period for them, John. They had a short bench, and it was really back and forth. Duke didn't go away without a fight.
No, we saw a resilient Duke team who battled back, and we saw a very resilient UNC team. Both teams facing their challenges. Obviously, Duke has not had the season that it's wanted, but had a chance to put its rival away. And UNC is playing with a short bench that's in balance too. 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, not the ideal types of balance that you want, when you're going into a game with a short bench. So both teams played very well. It was nice to see UNC come out strong at the beginning of the second and the third period and really establish a lead and respond to the Duke threat.
And something that's important when you're dealing with a abbreviated bench for the game is some veteran leadership. We'll get a second here soon to talk with alternate captain Jesse Jacobs. But what did you see out of the veterans on this team today?
Well, I think what we saw was, UNC really played well when it took its time and was just a little more patient coming into the zone. We saw in the first period a lot of shots, but sometimes those shots were a little rushed as they came into the zone. And we talked at the first intermission about coming in, just taking a little more time, establishing it. If they're going to give the opportunity to go behind the net, allowing your defenseman to come in, not necessarily so that your defenseman can score, but with a goalie like Luther who's seeing the puck really well, you want to get low shots that are able to bounce off his pads, but necessarily kick out to the middle, and also set yourself for opportunities where maybe you get a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 look that you can feed across and make him move laterally to beat him. And they really did a nice job there. We saw that from folks like Adamson, Jacobs, Gelatley, all using time and space to their advantage.
All right, well, it was certainly a game that didn't really mean anything towards the playoff picture. We talked about that throughout the course of the game, but you get a gritty win, a confidence-boosting win. So what does that mean moving forward for UNC?
Well, I think we saw a tough stretch for UNC where we were playing some of the top teams in the league, and so those were resulted in losses. So it's nice to come out and what I have a call getting it back to fundamentals in a confidence-building game here. So when you're able to win with a short bench, able to go out, work on things like puck possession, face-offs, which we saw improve a little bit in the third period. Some of the things that we'll have to do, eliminating penalties in the third period, things that we're going to have to do to have a successful run in the playoffs. That's really important, and you can use a game like this to build off in a playoff run.
All right, thank you, John. Of course, you did a great job with us over the course of the season. Glad to have you on.
Yep, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to step aside for a moment. When we come back, alternate captain Jesse Jacobs will join me. 6-4 the final. Your UNC Tar Heels over the Duke Blue Devils. Chris Lehman back with you here at the Orange County Sportsplex, now joined by UNC alternate captain Jesse Jacobs. For those of you who tuned into Behind the Bench with head coach Jeff Volkman earlier this week, you would have seen him with us over at Top of the Hill in Chapel Hill, but a bit of a different venue here today.
Yeah.
Got you out on the ice. It was a gritty win for you guys. What did you like about the way the guys played with some guys missing today?
Yeah, well, I thought the team played with a lot of heart. We knew going in it was going to be a tough test. Like we said earlier in the coaches session, this game didn't really mean anything as far as the standings go. But as far as getting ready for playoffs, it was a good test and also showed that how our team can come together and play hard. But I think we also showed that when we get tired, things can kind of fall apart a little bit. And I think, we had some times in the defensive zone where it was a little bit tough. We kind of broke down. They got some easy goals. So I think it showed us, really we got to stick together and make sure we're smart out there.
Well, and something that has shined through for this team really all year is the goaltending. Will Douthit has been fantastic for you guys between the pipes. What can you say about the way he's played?
He's meant the world to us. He's his first year playing. He's been absolutely fantastic. We could have lost some games, 15-1 if it wasn't for him. He's been the absolute doorstop. We feel the utmost confidence whenever when we're in tough spots, in front of the net. Unfortunately, we didn't help him out for a couple goals, and they took advantage of that. But as far as knowing that he can make those tough saves when it counts, we have utmost confidence in him.
Well, you guys have one game left in the regular season. You've got Elon tomorrow. Then you're on, hopefully, assuming nothing changes in the standings going into next weekend, you'll have a crack at either, it sounds like, NC State or Wake Forest in the first round of the ACCHL tournament. So what is the focus and what is the drive going into the game tomorrow to get ready?
We just got to make sure everyone's on board. You know, we got a week of practices coming up. We got a good game tomorrow and a good team with Elon. We just want to make sure we're continuing to build and do those things right. We should be getting some more guys back tomorrow so we can kind of, try to develop more of a team game. But we still want to go out there, have a really good effort because we know we're going to play a tough team either in NC State or Wake Forest. We've played NC State a couple times. We're on the losing end of that, but we at least know how they can play and we know that we'll be ready for them.
All right, well, I know guys on both sides are kind of running out of the building. There's a big basketball game about ready to start. I'll let you get going and enjoy that, and good luck to the Tar Heels.
Thanks a lot, very much. Appreciate it.
All right, that's alternate captain Jesse Jacobs. We'll be right back to wrap things up with head coach Jeff Volkman in a minute. Chris Lehman back with you here at the Orange County Sportsplex after a 6-4 win for your UNC Tar Heels over the Duke Blue Devils. Now joined by head coach Jeff Volkman of the Tar Heels. Coach, we've talked about it plenty. We haven't gotten your thoughts on it yet. The short bench today, your guys come out with a gritty win.
Yeah, I was really worried about chemistry tonight, so you have to rely on things like leadership and grit and determination. And there was some ebbs and flows in the periods as they went on, but we had a real strong third period, and we kind of had a gut check in between the second and third, and they responded really well. But Duke never gave up.
And there was plenty of special teams action out there. You got some power play chances yourself, spent some time killing off penalties as well. It's a little bit difficult. John and I talked about that during the broadcast, trying to cobble together a penalty kill or a power play with the lines that you had. But how did that work out?
It wasn't easy. Like I said, you play all year. We've got 2 units, and, we were missing guys. So we had to, the guys had to step up. That's why it's important to know the systems and know the guy next to you is responsibility. But I gotta tip my hat to that Duke goaltender. He played a phenomenal game. Not to take anything away from their team. Their team didn't give up. They were very resilient. I think I heard you say. I would agree with that. But it's a rival game, and our guys didn't back down no matter how many guys are in the bench. And it's kind of nice to face that little bit of adversity and shake up before the playoffs.
And speaking of the playoffs, you do have one game left against Elon tomorrow, but after that it's do or die. What does that change for you in the mentality? Obviously, it's a little bit different, even though you kind of want to play the same way.
Yeah, we're going to play, we'll have our whole team back tomorrow, with the exception of one guy who's got the flu, but we're coming in, we're going to play our game. It's a playoff game for us tomorrow. It's a little bit more relaxed in the sense that it doesn't mean anything, but we got to make sure we dial it in, play 60 minutes, and play our game. Not so concerned with the win or the loss, but it's all about preparation for next Friday.
All right, Coach, thanks so much for joining us today, as you did really all season. Glad to have you on. Glad to cover the team. It's been an exciting run, and hopefully there will be coverage next weekend at the ACCHL tournament. We'll hope to see you in the semifinals on Saturday.
Yeah, you guys we're very fortunate to have you guys. You're the best.
All right, well, that will wrap up our coverage. Don't miss the Tar Heels tomorrow. We won't have it broadcast, but they will be here at the Orange County Sportsplex taking on the Elon Phoenix. They finish off here tonight with a 6-4 win over the Duke Blue Devils, and we'll see you next season.